What do we expect as far
As any storm, we don't see
Okay,
any
yes,
police
we got
or
seats.
something, but we're prepared for evacuation.
I'm always excited when we get to tour international visitors and travel writers around our region, because they get to see just how warm and welcoming we are as a community. Our partners open their doors and their hearts to share their stories and treat them like royalty. But being open does not mean we should be naive and let our guard down. This is new for many of us, so we need to work smart. In this segment, you'll hear sound advice and best practices on working with and doing business with the international market from Mr. Bill Heller, Esquire. And thereafter, we will hear about how important customer service and customer experience is, a topic nearest to my heart. Many of you know I've coined the phrase hospitourism because I strongly believe hospitality and tourism go together. Hospitality is customer service, and tourism is customer experience, both equally important. Liliana Petrova will share some of her best and worst experiences in her travels. Now let me just share a little bit about Bill Heller's background. You can start us off. Mr. Heller recently retired as the general counsel of the New York Giants. There you go. New York Giants, and has joined Genova Burns, one of New Jersey's premier law firms. Bill brings a wealth of legal expertise and strategic insight to sports law, which is integral to the forthcoming World Cup at the iconic MetLife Stadium. Bill's tenure with the Giants saw him navigate complex contractual negotiations, provide adept counsel on regulatory matters, and oversee the legal dimensions of pivotal stadium projects, including for MetLife Stadium itself. His integral knowledge of MetLife Stadium extends beyond legal issues and encompasses operational intricacies, fan engagement, and compliance with industry standards. Bill has an unwavering commitment to safeguarding the interests of his client and facilitating the success of high-profile ventures in the realm of sports and entertainment law. I'm going to introduce Liliana as well, so then they can do their thing. Liliana Petrova is the founder and CEO of the Petrova Experience, a boutique international customer experience firm that works with clients in transportation, travel, and hospitality. The Petrova Experience is a certified women-owned business at New York City state and federal levels. Ms. Petrova pioneered a new customer-centric culture that energized more than 15,000 JetBlue employees. Future Travel Experience and Popular Science awarded her for JFK lobby redesign and facial recognition program. The Petrova Experience is currently working on the Complex Cities New York Penn Station reconstruction project. Ladies and gentlemen, first, Mr. Bill Heller.
Actually,
We went rogue.
Okay. We're gonna start.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me. First, I'm going to start with the fact that I am one of the crazy Europeans that are going to come to your state. I'm Bulgarian, and in 1994, Bulgaria took number 4 for the first time in the history of our existence. And for us, that became a national holiday. I spent that same evening on the streets of Sofia, spanking the lids of 2 pots. I was 14 years old, and it was the best day of my life. It was my bucket list to go and see the World Cup, which I did. So I went to Brazil, and I was at the World Cup there. So I am very passionate about soccer. We say in many of our European countries that there is no religion, there is only soccer. I think one of the things I wanted to open with today is that you guys have to understand that soccer for us goes back to medieval times. The clubs and the fans have, they're not just fans of the team. The affiliations with teams comes with political affiliations. They come with pride of their grandfathers. We have wars that connect and disconnect us. And all of that, and emotion and pride comes with the fans that are going to arrive here. We also have a European Union that also brought another layer of complexities and that are also healthily and unhealthily expressed by our fans. So that being said, the first time that I came to New Jersey was as an employee of Showboat Casino. And that was the first time I learned how we don't get it in Bulgaria. I had worked as a summer intern in this amazing facility where the owner used to say, we don't need them to come back. She believed the location is gonna get her very far. And at the time, we didn't have any feedback, so there was no what I love customer feedback mechanisms. And I was very proud to check today how we are rating her, and I'm proud to announce that she is on the last spot of the hometown that she's in as a feedback. So this is pretty much what I believe in, right? I am very big on customer experience and on the fact that we work in the experience economy right now. And that everything that people experience is what turns them into either people that are gonna go and tell trash about you or are gonna go and share their amazing experiences. We believe that in tourism, that's even more elevated and that you can turn a one-time visitor into a brand ambassador. So you can take these people that are gonna come and make them into people that are gonna put your destination on the map for many, many more. And it all comes down to execution. I'm not gonna dwell on this, but essentially what I wanted to kind of stress upon you guys is that right now you're competing with the last experience that people had with any industry. It used to be that we were competing within our industry. Now we compare and transfer things. You know, the new campaign of Abbott, for example, starts with people using their phones to translate when they travel. And then they're saying, why can't I understand my most important language, my body? Or how can I heat my house with my phone, but I don't know how much my bill is? So even brands that are in other industries are using in their marketing materials this transferability of expectations. So you're gonna have people that are gonna come expecting things that they had amazing experiences somewhere else. It's not just about the travel. And we're all racing, and it's a moving target. And especially now with all the tech that's available, it's even more fast. You know, somebody mentioned an app. Yeah, we all want apps, but the key is how you guys not gonna create complexity. What we're seeing is a lot of passion, but you need to connect. It needs to be simple for the visitor. If there are distributed initiatives all around and you guys are all doing stuff, and a tourist is not gonna know about any of this complexity, they're just gonna go and have an experience. And when they transition, if they transition their app or anything that they have to engage with, you have to log in again, that is gonna lead to suboptimal experiences that are gonna create so much confusion. And also with crowds comes safety. Somebody talked about safety and security. You want people moving. To a great extent, if you really break down what you're here for, is throughput. You gotta keep people moving, you gotta keep people informed and confident in their movement. And that confidence comes with information and with understanding what they need and giving it to them before they are needing it. And that does not include paper, okay? Today, we do not use paper as much as before. You're gonna have fans that are also from different generation. So the digital experience will have to emerge in this experience. It cannot be only paper. I'm gonna say that again, it cannot be only paper. We're moving away from paper. So that means, you know, the experience, and again, 2.5 years is not that long. If you wanna coordinate and map stuff and build stuff and test stuff, it takes 18 months to do a really good digital platform. Because at the end of the day, customer experience is, are you meeting the promises that you've made? It's, are you meeting the brand promise that you have made? Now, what is the brand promise that New Jersey has made to the world? What is it that you think people were expecting from you guys? Well, we checked. You were promising a wow. And that is the wow that they're going to come and look for. And then we asked you, not even tourists from international destinations. We asked you, what is wow for you? We had a workshop with some of you, and that's what you said. All of you said, hey, I want quality services, expectations. But the word wow brought expectations of mind-blowing. Okay, mind-blowing. You went with wow, so now people will expect wow. You went with diversity, people will expect options. People expect plethora of things they can do. They're going to expect above and beyond customer service because you said wow, right? So the experience and how you deliver that experience will be the trust building mechanism, right? It's one thing for me to get an itinerary. It's fine, somebody said that. Yes, that's the first step. You communications and getting the itineraries is absolutely the first step. But how are you gonna make sure that that itinerary has an experience that's wowing your guests? You know, how are you gonna? What is this connectivity that is gonna make this a New Jersey experience? Because if you really think about the number and complexities of touch points that a tourist will have to encounter in a visit here, you're talking about teams upon teams, partners. You need to have almost like JVs within the JVs, you know? It is really going to take a lot of collaboration. And the thing about the post-COVID expectations of the tourists is that they also are a huge fan about local experiences. And we're hearing here in the room so many local participants that want to connect and to be part and to be proud of this experience that you guys are going to offer. So coordinating to go down to the local level, right? So it's not just the top, is also going to take a lot of work. So it's almost like hashtag connect, coordinate, collaborate in the next 16 months or 18 months. And why I'm saying this is because to me, you guys have to be ready by January. If the games are in the summer, it's not May, it's January. End of year next year, things will need to be completed. So it's the fine tuning that happens in the last mile, right? And again, how do you infuse this? Well, that's where customer experience comes and hospitality comes. That's where coordinations and programming comes. That's where intentionality comes from. So having that identity translated from a brand promise into experience qualifiers, characteristics, both from how much digital am I going to be, to am I going to have multiple languages in my digital signage, to how am I expecting my hoteliers and check-in staff to manage the experience and the problems. All of these pieces can be amazing, but they need to be thought out before and coordinated and trained. There's also training involved. You know, you mentioned schools, fine. In Harris, I had a week training on hospitality before they put me on the floor, and that was 20 years ago. So it's not a novel concept to do training, but it needs to be done. It needs to be paid for, because that's where people cut budgets as well. There are studies about how, and I don't know which of the World Cups it was, but it's definitely a local European situation where they had vandalism and they had people really not behave well. The fans were not doing well. And the police department actually engaged with a training company where they actually learned how to engage in the heat of the moment. And they lowered the incidents and the problems with a very high percentage. But that was because they even thought about that as a customer experience interaction. If you think about it, right? It wasn't punitive. It was like, how am I going to make sure that when I go there, I don't go with a hatred or with a punitive approach, but how am I collaborating with this person? Even if they're in her birthday, whatever, I don't know this word now, you know what I mean. Drunk is the word that I know. But bottom line, what I think has been already communicated, but I just want to reinforce it, is that the stakes are high. And that you have world stage ahead of you, and that you have people that are going to have megaphones, right? And just for Chicos, I decided to give you a little bit of economics 101 here about travel. We went with Judy and Jeff in New Jersey in December, where I shared in depth my disappointment with my Paris trip last year. I'm not going to bore you with the details right now, but all I was going to say is there was an image, there was a promise, there was not met, okay? So now I'm there, and I'm there with my best friend, and we spent $5,000. And probably we spend more, but I'm in denial. So I'm gonna just go with 5. So we spent, 2 of us, 2,500 each, right? Now, if I go back to my stats and there are 6 people that usually I'm gonna share a good experience. Bad experience, I'm gonna share with more, right? 20 plus, I'm gonna complain. Now, I'm Bulgarian, he's Bulgarian, 2 continents. So we complain in America, we complain in Bulgaria, okay? So not only we complain, but I'm also a tourism person. I have a blog. I have 40,000 people who read my LinkedIn newsletter. Now, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna complain. And what did he do? He works in hospitality. He was a high-end waiter. He complained. So yes, they got my 5K, but they lost 30,000 just by me complaining, me and him telling others that that was not a good experience. Not only that, but we initially planned to bring our moms because in their generation, Paris was a dream and there's a whole thing, there's songs in Europe about it. So now they lost 10,000 of that new trip we were gonna go with my mom and his mom. Now, just by not providing what they promised, they lost $40,000 from two visitors. And that's all experience. So experience. And think about this. There are many stats that were thrown. I just went with this. This is 88,000 people were in Qatar in the stadium for that final. Now, if you take this and you multiply by this, you think how much money you can get, right? I'm flipping this because this is the money you can get. It's not the money you can lose if you play your cards right now. So it's the right time. This is clearly the right room. And now it's about what are you going to do, right? Are you going to connect the dots? And I can't stress that enough. Connecting the dots between the counties, connecting the dots between all of these touch points that I showed you in the slide, that's what needs to happen. Because your tourist, because your fan does not see your complexity and shouldn't see your complexity. They're just here to have a great time. Give them that time so that they can say this in TripAdvisor, and then they can bring more people from around the world to New Jersey. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. The first thing I want to do is reply to the Jets fan from the corner over there and simply remind him that I work for the team that has won 4 Super Bowls and 2 in the 21st century. I actually have a joke about this. We're being recorded. I'm afraid to go that far. There's an old joke that goes like this: I'm from the IRS and I'm here to help you, which of course people take for granted. I actually am here to help you with what faces you as you are trying to capitalize off of the World Cup. The Genova Burns firm, which is very proud to be one of the sponsors of today's event, has a unique team. It is unique because it is headed by Angelo Genova. Is there something going on behind me? Oh, no, it's okay. I don't have a fancy PowerPoint. So, if my friend the Jets fan comes in, I'll tell the joke. But anyway, where was I? So our unique team is headed by 2 people. Angelo Genova has for decades been perhaps the leading lawyer when it comes to government affairs in New Jersey at the state and federal level. And much of what goes on in the World Cup, and for you as businesses seeking to capitalize off of the World Cup, there could be and will be governmental issues. So as you begin to think about your planning and your engagement, there may be governmental issues, and I won't touch on them because Angelo is really the expert on those issues. I'm here to talk about sports law, which implicates all sorts of things like employment law and trademark law and other aspects of intellectual property. I have lost my cheats, but it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that, and picking up off of where Liliana left off, think about all of the employment law issues that permeate our society today, and about which your businesses likely have been trained, about how to treat people, about microaggressions and things of that nature. When we have all of the international visitors coming to our shores, we have to keep those same principles in mind. These are people who are not used to our culture, especially the New Jersey, New York brand of our culture. Sometimes when I walk down the street where in Florida and I say good morning to people, they say good morning. But up here, if I say good morning, they're, So be sensitive to the cultural issues, because it is possible that people could be making claims against you for mistreatment along the lines of employees themselves who have been mistreated. There's another aspect of employment law that you need to be aware of. You may need to increase your staff, and you may decide that it's better to bring the increased staff on as independent contractors, because you save money that way. Except the Department of Labor has come out with new rules. And the new rules define with greater clarity what is an employee and what is an independent contractor. And if you're not familiar with these rules, you will be a target of the Department of Labor, and you will be required, if you have found to have violated these rules, to make up all those taxes that you didn't pay for people you called independent contractors, but people who are really employees. And obviously, the Genova Burns firm can help you with issues like that. Liliana talked about your brand, and I want to talk about that a little bit. First thing I want to talk about is what Mr. Giuliano spoke about before in the NFL and the ice sculpture. If you think the NFL is nuts about its logo and the word Super Bowl, you ain't seen nothing yet, because FIFA is the same. And if in your efforts to capitalize off of the World Cup, you blindly use the words or the trademark FIFA or even World Cup, you may get a letter, and you may have to hire really good lawyers to explain to this internationally based organization that you didn't mean it or that it's a fair use. But believe me, with my experience in the NFL, it's not a pleasant experience. People, if you'll note, the people who don't have the right to use the trademark Super Bowl, they call it the big game. Why do you think they do that? Because the NFL guards that name religiously, and FIFA will do the same. So be heads up. If you're going to be advertising for the World Cup or FIFA, be careful how you use those terms. Don't depict trophies or the like without understanding the consequences of using someone else's trademark, logo, or pictures. But there are many opportunities for businesses as well in the nature of sponsorships. And I urge you to consider sponsorships. I'm not here to sell for the host committee. I'm here to refer you to the host committee, because the host committee is seeking sponsors like yourselves so that your trademark, your company names, your logos get a tremendous number of eyeballs. That's what they call them. All the sponsors in MetLife Stadium are looking for eyeballs. That's brand enhancement. And I suggest to you that as many international people who will be visiting us, all sorts of local people will be here. And for those of you with local businesses, it behooves you to consider how you can expand your brand identity by becoming a World Cup sponsor through the host committee. The World Cup is trying to control, to some extent, the sponsors of the World Cup. For example, at MetLife Stadium, if there are sponsor conflicts, FIFA requires the people at MetLife to cover up the signage for people who conflict with their sponsors. As an example, MetLife Stadium is a Pepsi venue. Let's assume hypothetically, I don't know, that FIFA and World Cup does business with Coca-Cola. Then MetLife's gonna have to cover up the Pepsi signage. So why do I tell you that? If you are seeking a sponsorship opportunity, be careful, talk to the host committee and make sure there is not a conflict that will lead FIFA to say, no, this company cannot sponsor the World Cup, which sponsorship also brings with it, in some cases, the ability to use those trademarks, FIFA and World Cup. And if you do engage in a sponsorship discussion, you should ask, am I licensed to use those terms and logos? Very important point. If I could find my little cheat sheet, I would have more. The fact is that and I just want to underscore what Liliana said, being aware of the fact that we are in the spotlight has legal consequences because I've never been a member of the plaintiff's trial bar. I respect them, but they are looking for opportunities to sue you. And if we don't treat these people right, you're going to be in litigation and your brand is going to go south. That's what you need to be concerned about. And also, think about this. The spotlight is on you and is on us for future events in this area and at MetLife Stadium. If we don't treat these people well, if we don't give them a good fan experience, if we come out on the bad side of those statistics that Liliana showed you, our ability to capture events like this in the future will go south. MetLife Stadium has been hugely successful. I think, and Steve, you can tell me if I'm right, for about 5 years in a row, MetLife Stadium was considered the best venue in the world. We want that to happen again. And the spotlight is on us so that you can help put us in a position to gain the next Super Bowl or the next Taylor Swift concert. With that, I'll stop with the legal stuff. I do have one more thing. For those of you in the hospitality industry, remember that you'll be doing contracts with teams or with others, FIFA officials. The folks abroad are not familiar with our legal system and the way we do contracts and what we put in them. So I urge you to consider that your contract probably is foreign to our international friends. But here's one piece of advice that I want to give you free of charge. The folks abroad like arbitration better than litigation. And you don't want litigation here. It's all messed up. And it takes you years to get anywhere. Consider looking carefully at arbitration provisions, whether they be international arbitration or arbitration in the US. You don't want to be in court. And you want to treat our international visitors in their contracts as they expect, rather than driving that hard bargain. You want a win-win negotiation, not a win-lose negotiation. And remember also, for the transportation companies, that the teams may require transportation to practice field and to meeting venues. There are opportunities there as well. I did a bunch of those when I was with the Giants. The transportation companies often are smaller companies, but they are going to be part of the goodwill because they're transporting the players themselves and their health and safety issues. Imagine if an aggressive driver, I'm sorry, gets into an accident and injures the star player of the team. You're going to get everybody from that country coming over here causing lots of problems. So I wanted to give you this brief survey of legal issues, and there are more, but I have limited time, and I'm a lawyer, and you're probably bored to tears already. I will be here afterward to take questions, or we can take questions now, Judy, right? So I thank you for listening and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
So, Bill, before we jump in with questions, I want to bring up something you said. So many of you in the room, some of our hospitality stakeholders are in fact part of the bid with FIFA and World Cup for either accommodations and other things that were worked out between Judy and our team here for some of those services. But I think what struck me with what Bill was talking about is many of you may have the opportunity to do some entertaining by some foreign corporate entity that wants to entertain its clients that it's bringing here because that country's team just elevated itself from around the 32 to around the 16, or maybe even the semifinal game, and they want to do some corporate entertaining around that. And those are the issues that are really important that Bill says. You know, part of why we're doing this today is to just open everybody's eyes, right? Because while there's great opportunity for everybody, and we want to make sure we're capitalizing on all that opportunity, there needs to be great concern. But we want to educate all of you so that you know what the pathway is in front of you. That's one of the reasons we wanted to make sure there was some legal counsel as part of this conversation, not to scare you, just to make you think. It's not just all I can do whatever I want to win that business.
In fact, let me add this.
It's on.
It's on?
Check.
It is on.
Fumble. Does this work? Yeah, this works. To that end, there is something called the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. I didn't want to get into this, but Jim, you raised a good point. When the NFL started or resumed playing football games in Europe and abroad, it spent a lot of time teaching the teams and their legal departments about the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. It's a typical bureaucratic mess, but if you're going to take somebody out to dinner and that person is a FIFA official or connected to a FIFA official or the like, and you pay for that dinner, you might, I don't say you will, but you might need to take, or have your lawyer take a look at the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, as I did when the Giants played abroad. Thanks, Jim.
Mr. Mayor.
So, I'm Bourbon County Commissioner Tracy Zer. One of my biggest issues, obviously, is how we bring some of the economic development pieces of this to our local downtowns. And this question about education is really key. How can we, or the chamber, or all of us collectively, educate some of these mom and pops who are going to be wanting to have these FIFA watch parties in their venues? We're going to be trying to attract business from the entire region, how to not trip into some of these pitfalls of litigation with FIFA, since they want to protect everyone.
I'm going to answer that, Tracy, and then Bill can follow up. This is a start today. This is a wet your whistle day. We have full intentions of hosting, lots of not broad. We're going to get into silos where we're very specific for small businesses in downtown and Rutherford and Secaucus Munich, and so forth, right? All of that. We'll get into those things. As we've already developed a relationship with Bruce Revin and Lauren LaRusso at the host committee. We'll have perhaps some liberties that we might be able to pass on to our stakeholders by virtue of being a partner with the host committee. There'll be some things we can do and use and some things that we can't, right? We'll know that. We're gonna learn that. We're gonna make sure that they're sharing that with us because we want to share it with you so you know what you can and can't do and what the pitfalls or then how can people like Bill and others protect you when you want to take advantage of it.
That's exactly my answer. I was catching.
Very well.
And I'm not a lawyer.
Thank you, counsel.
And the last little thing that I just want to put out there is in order to deliver that wow for our entire region, yes, MedDesk is critically important, but there's 70 municipalities in Bergen County. We want to be doing and partnering to make sure that we're bringing the excitement to the entire region and actually some of the traffic away from this region as we continue to try and get the excitement going for FIFA and not just for the games that we're hosting, but even beforehand. So I really look forward to partnering with the host committee to make sure that we can bring that reality so that we can deliver the wow, not just for the foreign visitors who are coming, but for people around the country who are going to be even more excited about soccer going forward. So
Yeah, and I think,
I was gonna, Jim, if I could, you all should know that FIFA is preparing what they call Fan Fest in a box. There will be rules of engagement, it's not out yet, it will be out probably in May. We get asked this all the time, how do we engage the right way? Now, that could be a whole separate afternoon in and of itself.
Next year's on this.
Yes, but, so we'll be able to share with communities that want to do something that's official, okay? What I mean by that is being able to showcase the marks. There are going to be restrictions, but this will come from FIFA. This will allow communities, neighborhoods to get engaged in a way that they realize that you can't always have a piece of property for 30,000 people every day. That there may be a community of 1,200 that may want to do something that's as important for them. So that will be coming up that we'll share once it's revealed itself by FIFA.
I think for me, it's twofold. You're gonna have FIFA give you guidance. What I was getting at was that New Jersey can think proactively about what New Jersey wants to say. Right now that you have them giving you the playbook, let's call it. What is it that New Jersey connectedness is? If I go to any county, how am I gonna know I'm in New Jersey, regardless of the county? And when I go to a county, what can the county tell me about other counties in New Jersey to expand my experience and append my experience to the next county and give? It's sharing is caring, like I tell my daughter, right? Like sharing is caring. Share the economic wallet of that tourist among yourselves. And that would happen only if you beforehand have agreed to that.
What Bruce and Liliana just said reminded me of something. And what I would do is I would encourage the chamber to bring us all together after the World Cup so that we can share our experiences and decide what went right and what didn't go so right so that we can come out with a self-assessment that makes us more ready for the next one.
Well, Bill, I think yes, we will definitely do that, but we've actually been looking back at the last big experience, and it's the Super Bowl, WrestleManias, and some of the other events, so that we get it more right this time. And then we'll continue to look back and see how we can make it better. I want to make a point to something that Liliana said. Judy and I, and the Chamber and the CBB for the longest time have been talking about customer experience, right? And that's what Liliana brought to us today, and why we brought Liliana here, and thank you for being here, is that the customer experience at every level is so critical for us building a destination. And I saw our friends from East Rutherford and the police chief talk about when we talk about the incident about even having police departments understand the customer service level of foreigners coming into the street. That is critically important. How we treat these guests that will come here will determine if they come back, right? And can we build a great destination here in the Meadowlands? that, and the greater Meadowlands and North Jersey and New Jersey as a whole, yes, I think we can, but that is, do not underestimate. When Super Bowl was here, we tried to create something around, we're gonna provide everybody a warm welcome when there was this cold weather Super Bowl. And we tried to do it. We even ran a hug fest, right? Because we wanted people to know that New Jerseyans, we get a bad rap, right? We're a bunch of wise guys. We're not a bunch of wise guys, even though we might talk like a bunch of wise guys. We're really lovable people, and we want to bring people back here. But the customer service, don't take it lightly in all of your businesses, in every one, across every industry sector.
We have a question on the camera.
Yeah, before we go there, just wanted to say before my business development person kills me, is that we are here to help with all of that. You know, instead of I was like, oh, I want to partner, we want to partner with you to connect that together.
My name is Eddie. Questions relative to sponsorship. Love that you're pushing businesses and brands to engage with the host committee in sponsorship. What level of sponsorship is it driven by? Maybe the host committee can answer this. Is it driven by investment that unlocks those rights? Use of mark, official designation, official partner. Is that driven by investment level with sponsors?
It's driven, first of all, the host committee has to manage that. And as Bill said, you really, if you've ever dealt with the NFL, dealing with FIFA, it is the NFL on steroids.
Yeah.
Beginning with, that's crazy. The categories that we can sell, the prospects that we go after have to be vetted by FIFA. So you mentioned Pepsi is the beverage of choice in MetLife. Well, that partnership is with Coke. If you are American Express, the partnership is Visa. Adidas, so no Nike, Hyundai, no American cars. I would say that the host committee probably spends, beyond transportation and security matters, IP matters, making sure that the marks are used in the proper way with the approved partners. Now, I will tell you that challenge on IP in categories and prospects is improving because they've never done business like we have business here in the United States. Remember, let's look at the last couple of World Cups. Where were they? In Doha and in Russia. So the way we do business in the United States is foreign. We will get there, but we have restrictions, and they must be vetted by the host organizing committee to go through FIFA, so that if somebody wants to invest, we don't take them down this road and go, oh, you know, we can't work. That's not close. That's not the right way. But they are also driven by investment. We have really just two levels. We have a sponsorship level, which we talk about later, and we also have donor levels. However, there's a distinction. Sponsors get IP rights, donors don't. And the ability to market those sponsors actually in the stadium is right now does not exist. So the only sponsors you will see in the stadium on match day are FIFA sponsors, the Visas, the Adidas, the Hyundai, the Coca-Colas, the McDonald's. Local sponsors that are specific and have a nexus to the New York, New Jersey market, right now do not have access to signage in MetLife Stadium. If you can believe that. But that's our issue, that's our challenge as we go to market. But every city we all have the same agreement with FIFA. That actually was signed 5-6 years ago. Well, I shouldn't say that. Commercial rights agreement is still being worked on, but it's very, very restricted.
And you don't worry.
I agree with Bruce, and I'll add this. It is very likely that FIFA deals with sponsors the way an NFL team does, and I know that other teams do this. For example, if you want exclusive rights in a category, that costs more than simply being an official sponsor. So anticipate that as you are considering the level of investment. Bruce said signage around and within the stadium, but it is possible, I don't know this is true, Bruce, but there are other sponsorship rights that you might be able to get as we get closer. I urge you to explore this sooner rather than later, because there may be people in line that compete with you.
And Eddie, one of the things we're gonna help identify, what we learned after the Super Bowl, especially with the communities, right, and activating communities, is that we're gonna find out how we can, let's say, so our friends from East Rutherford are here. So if East Rutherford wants to have a function, so back at Super Bowl, East Rutherford, we did a Super Bowl party on Super Bowl Sunday, and 8,000 people attended. They were coming off the train. It was like a giant tailgate party, closed the streets in front of the Park Tavern and so forth. It was a fabulous event, right? Well, we want to do that, as Bruce said, you know, the FIFA in the box, right, the World Cup in the box. We want to do that with those auspices, and there might be sponsorship opportunities that businesses can have on that local level that's not going to interfere or be against what people want in terms of using smarts, and create those branding visibility options. And so we're gonna uncover what they are. And
I mean, again, think about this, people are coming for the game, but they also have to eat. They also want to party. They also want some cultural local experience. So all of these are opportunities for you to show up because they have to do something. Nobody just, and also if you're coming from Europe, you're gonna try to make it a trip. It's not, nobody freaking flies across the ocean for a day, right? I mean, there are people, but they're just different purposes for that trip. So it's up to you to take the money and these opportunities because they're gonna be here available to give you money.
I just want to underscore one thing. Paul said that people shouldn't cross the highway. Well, some years ago, there was a huge soccer event at MetLife Stadium, and a family of people who, for whom English was a second language, crossed Route 120, and there was an awful accident with very serious injuries. So it's important to keep in mind that pedestrian walkways need to be guarded carefully.
Bob, you had a question?
I remember during the Super Bowl, there was a lot of safe questions that came up. I guess my question is, there should be a filter as to how we get navigate with these sprinklers, state issue, local issue, issue. How do you normal business go about navigating all of these things? What's the filter?
The filter should always start, you can start a couple ways. You're gonna get the official information from the host community. And we will be establishing points of contact for a lot of different business matters, because these questions have already emerged the last 2 years. But I would suggest that if you have, right now, if you have questions, when we do our presentation, the last slide I have is probably the most important, because how to reach us, how to follow us, how to contact us, and just do that now. Just reach out to us right now. Now, obviously, the abundance of incoming is going to evolve and increase, and the cadence of reaching out is going to increase. So we know we have to address that and recognize that we have to have the right kind of infrastructure to manage the incoming, which we will. There's still ways for that. But the host organizing committee is the most reliable source of information, because we're working directly with you. Our bosses, we should say that because I don't know if people feel like they're working just for that. But one of our main constituents is FIFA. So we get up, our business is driven by what we get.
On the bad news front, FIFA is actively recruiting U.S. lawyers to populate an office in Miami to write cease and desist letters and the like. So you're going to have to deal with them too.
And Bruce, we'll be, Bob, we'll be a conduit of information from the host committee, because they're not going to be able to respond to everything and everybody. Every time they do an event like this, they're talking to a couple hundred people. And so we'll be the conduit of information as they get the do's and don'ts, they'll filter to us.
I don't want to, I mean, what Jim and the Meadowlands are doing, we talk almost daily, one of us, so everything that we need to share with the chamber, we share. Because one way or another, you just want to make sure what you're hearing is accurate. And if he's going to tell you something, it's accurate.
what I was thinking is that there was there was a state that had issues, they had a filter, and then trying to get the word out. And they also had restrictions of telephone, a lot of different touch points that people were trying to navigate through. So I guess what we,
I think, Bob, there's a difference this time, right? Super Bowl, the NFL awarded the game to the teams, right? And this is a joint New York, New Jersey event, right? And so between Lauren Russo and Bruce Revnan, there's a vested interest in knocking those walls down that the NFL put up with many issues, because New Jersey, the governor wants New Jersey to win, and Mayor Adams wants New York to win, and there's this great collaboration to make sure that everybody wins. And so that effort, I've seen a tremendous difference right from the start here with how both New York, New Jersey is going about this. So that my fear of what happened during Super Bowl is not going to happen this time. I think we'll have much clearer information, and we may not always be happy, but we'll have really clear information that we can share with you, and that's really important, right? We want to be in the know.
Before we conclude,
Mayor.
I've got one quick question. Most of the surrounding municipalities all have athletic fields, and we're trying to figure whether we're going to, our fields are used constantly, whether we should allot time for FIFA to utilize those for practice. And it would be very helpful if you could let us know maybe what the going rate might be, and if there are template contracts that float out there that are used, so.
I don't know the going rate, because on the few occasions when the Giants allowed third parties to use the practice field, it was normally because somebody knew somebody else and we didn't charge for it. I don't know the going rate, but I do know this. If you're going to allow a team to use your venue as a practice field or a meeting, be concerned first about the condition of the field and who's responsible for damage to the field itself. If you are in this business, you know that turf and grass are very, very expensive. Second, if people get hurt during one of those practices, you need to have ambulance, medical coverage. And the question is, who should pay for that? I know the answer, and so do you. Next, you should ask if they have insurance to cover any accidents that occur on site. An equipment manager may trip over the curb and injure himself and require treatment, for example. Those are 3 or 4 of the big issues when renting your facility. It is a rental contract, and like I said before, be careful of the cultural sensitivities. But in this case, if I were representing East Rutherford, I'm happy to do so, by the way. I would, bargain rates. I would suggest that because you are so local, that the arbitration provision require them to agree to arbitrate here. Okay?
I'll take some of the nerves off of some of the folks here. If you haven't been contacted by FIFA now, and my great colleague Claudia over there can really expand on this. FIFA has already looked at base camp and training camp locations in New Jersey. There will not be any in New York. They will all be in New Jersey. The requirements for those base camps are very, very high. First of all, you have 2 natural grass fields. You have to have support around there. So while there may be a situation that a player or 2 may want to come to the local field, a team will, if they haven't contacted you by now, they will not be contacted. Claudia, I don't know.
Yeah, that was well done ahead of time. Right?
Yeah, I'll be honest, we started the process back in 2017, identifying fields throughout New Jersey that met their requirements. Since then, we've taken people around, I would say probably about 5 or 6 times to visit the sites. They've already met with everybody, and it will be spread out throughout the state.
We've identified hotels. Well, I don't want to say identified the hotels just yet, but we have visited hotels for each training facility. And those hotels, what will happen is they will probably be taken over by the team specifically. So those conversations have already been had.
We don't have to worry about
I'm just gonna put a footnote to that. Just as the NFL likes to have closed practices from time to time, I will, I'm not a betting person, but I will bet that some team is gonna wanna have a closed practice at some place that no one else knows. So it is still a possibility that you'll get an inquiry.
And Mayor, the possibility of corporate rental for that part of that entertaining by companies and wanting to rent some fields may still be a possibility, so we'll talk some more.
Can I get a round of applause for our speakers?
We got a 2-minute break, but not a 3-minute break, it's a 2-minute break.
Excellent.
Last panel up.
Oh my God.
Check the mic, check.
No?
One, two, testing. Testing, 1, 2.
This is just like really interesting, so I was just like, it's worth my time on a Friday afternoon. Our office is in Somerset, but we work hybrid. So, you know, I looked at it, it's about an hour. I mean, that's, you know, I'm used to the drive. Back and forth. How about you?
I would just go to
Oh, well. Okay. Okay. Okay.
How you doing, young man? I'm doing good. I'm doing well. You guys learning a lot? Yeah, actually very interesting.
I'll stay.
All right. Most people I've seen in this room.
Pick this up the space. A little bit like this.
Is the business coming your way that you wanted as it relates to it? I'm retired, young superstar. He's leaving to work over there now. Yeah, stadium. In preparation. You're gonna drink a lot of water. It's hot here. Remember, it's like that up to water. Yeah, good. Well, I don't know if there's gonna be more opportunities for you. Yeah, no, that's for us. Maybe a hotel. Hopefully we put a hotel right there in the parking lot. Now there's a lot of opportunities. 20 years, maybe 10. When's the trucks committee kicking off? I know we talked about it, we did talk about it, we did. What's my bad? Overwork.
Oh, thanks.
Meet at my office and all the time. Benefit to be that the office put it over. Time was a Friday afternoon, very simple. My wife doesn't want to be home. She's doing it. Good luck with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. Feeling good.
Yeah, no delays, no interference, no supply problems.
NHL thing going on.
All right. Did that interrupt?
We started, and then we packed up and went away, and then we came back.
Yeah, just a little things like that.
Yeah.
For a monkey race.
She has a very solid amount of time right now, though, right? How much work is that?
We have until the middle of May, and then conference.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah, so this is what I'm considering a solid amount of time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I gave you 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's it. Yeah. All right, here we go. Those that are in the back of the room, tell the people outside the door there's some seats here now. They can come on in if they'd like. All right, folks. I know we packed this agenda today, but this is the final panel is something you're going to want to participate in, and you're going to want to hear from. We have. We have spent a lot of time over the last couple of years working with NJSEA and the formation of the host committee. This panel that we have right now today is we have Bruce Revman, who has been an executive with NYC Company, has worked with the Mayor's Office of New York. He is the co-host city manager for the New York, New Jersey World Cup Host Committee. His counterpart, Lauren Russo, who has spent her career in Governor Murphy's office, had a medical emergency with a member of her family today, and won't be with us. But Bruce is awesome and will share lots of information with us. We also have Jeff Bassler, who is the executive director of New Jersey Office of Travel and Tourism. They have combined a PowerPoint presentation to talk about what New Jersey is doing. And we also have Steve Santonese, who is the facilities manager over at MetLife Stadium, who's going to share with you a little bit about what's going on to prepare the stadium for the World Cup game, set of games. And so this is a really important segment here. Please hold your questions until all three gentlemen had the opportunity to talk. And like I said before, during the other panels, we're going to continue these discussions. We're going to take deeper dives into elements of what we've talked about here today in the coming months to make sure we're, especially on the legal side, Bill Heller's program there's lots to uncover there and lots to make sure that you're aware of. But let's get into it now. So the hosts with the most is the name of this particular panel. I am going to give Bruce Revman clicker so he can go through this. And let's have a great round of applause for Bruce, Stephen, and Jeff.
And by the way, Jim and the chamber have been best friends of the host committee, even before we were formed a year ago, as well as NJSEA, my new best friend for the last couple of years, Claudia over here. NJSA has been spectacular. Paul and his team have just been so supportive. Also, as Jim said, my co-host unfortunately had an emergency, but I'd be remiss if I didn't share that you have the best advocate who will present the challenges and listens. Nobody better than Laura LaRusso. I mean, she has been so strong in her support of New Jersey, making sure that the wealth is spread amongst the state, understands what happened 10 years ago, to the extent that when I talk about it now, my city hall says to me, you know, you are from New York City. So I want you to know. I'm sorry she couldn't be here, but hopefully I will do her strong. And by the way, the last time I saw Jim, he was jumping up, and he was actually about 16 inches off the ground when we won. So this guy has jumped. This guy can do it. Delighted to be here and give you a little bit of a snapshot of what we share with people who may kind of understand the impact of the World Cup, but what it means to the local economy as well, and the size of what we're looking at in 2026. I'll be glad after the presentation. You all have a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that you want to know. The one thing that I want to make sure everybody understands, while we were blessed to receive the finals about 5-6 weeks ago, the work had already begun. I got a lot of texts the day we won and the day after, and still getting the text. Well, now the work begins. No. The work actually, Laura and I have been working on this since 2019. The work had begun a long time ago. We're setting up committees across the river. We had one last week, a week ago Friday, on transportation for both sides. We had everybody who was involved in anything related around transportation on this call. We've done it with security. We're doing it with marketing. So everything we do is about a New York, New Jersey experience. It's not just for New York. It's not just for New Jersey. It's New York, New Jersey. And I want everybody to understand that. That work has begun a long time ago. What the finals did was it really was the frosting on the cake.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's really important. I said before that it's different this time than it was at Super Bowl. It is different. And Bruce, I can't thank you enough, because in order for us to make this great, it does have to be a New York, New Jersey event, right? And you've been really awesome at making sure that it's about that, the New York, New Jersey event. And listen, the fact of the matter is, we would not have gotten the World Cup final, or maybe even a venue, if we weren't next to the greatest city in the world. That's just a fact. We have to understand that. So combining with Bruce and New York, that's what will make this a win-win for everybody.
And we don't have a stadium in New York City. We have Yankee Stadium. We have Citi Field. We don't have an 82,000 seat stadium, best in class, next to this guy here who we'll share more in a moment. But the marriage is undeniable. It is a great marriage. I talk about, I use the term unity of purpose, because that's what this is about. The river does not divide us. We have bridges over those rivers, and we use them quite a bit. I spend more time in New Jersey than I do in New York City, and I don't mind that, actually. I think it's pretty good. So let's talk a little bit about the numbers. Let's quantify some of the things that you may have already heard. And by the way, one number that's not on here is 809 days until the start of the matches in June 2026. 3 countries, 16 host cities, 11 in the US, 2 in Canada, 3 in Mexico, 48 nations. By the way, I use the term nations. Yes, they're teams, but I think nations sounds a little more dynamic, a little more international. 104 matches, 40 days. So unlike the Super Bowl, come June 11th to July 19th, there will be something going on in this area almost every single day. That's pretty cool. If you want to put this in terms of media, in the United States, we often hear how big the viewership was for the Super Bowl. And it is big. Domestically, it is big. 123 million. Recently, if you add the last 13 Super Bowls, the finals for the 2022 event in Doha exceeded all those combined. The expectations in 2026 for us in New York, New Jersey is over 3 billion. That's what that means, billion. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. So it's pretty impressive in terms of when you quantify just the impact. And you may have heard that we won that match of February. And we call it the world's biggest game on the world's biggest stage. I've had the privilege to be, the last couple of years especially, at some pretty cool events at MetLife, Taylor Swift included. But I was there where we had the friendly last summer between, was it Man U and Arsenal? If you had the privilege to be there or the good fortune, it was a friendly, it was a scrimmage game for two great Premier League teams. Can you imagine that again on steroids in 2 years? These nations it's going to be, we call it electric. It will be electric. I don't think you can see Jim jumping up and down. It's not him. Actually, I wish I do have a video that was shared when we won, and there is Jim right in the middle with his arms up, as we all were, as we all should have been so excited. Come to the New York City side. This guy right here, your governor, was our biggest fan to get these games. When the new mayor in New York City was elected at the end of 2021, one of the first things he did before he even took office was take him to a game at MetLife Stadium. And we have so much to be thankful for, but having the governor and having Mayor Adams be behind this was really, really instrumental to the very, very end, to the week before we got the finals. So I can tell you that I am just so happy to have, I've gotten to know the governor reasonably well over the last 3-4 years. His passion is so real. And that was picked up by the executives at FIFA. They knew that this was somebody who they could reach out to if there was an issue, if we did get the finals, but also he talks football, he talks soccer. When you talk about the World Cup, he's not just talking about, of course, the business side, the economic impact. He's talking about the history of the World Cup. But he was amazing. And the one thing I wanted to share on the left side, I actually did not know when we put this presentation together, they were going to show some of the covers of the front pages of the newspapers. When we started the journey 5-6 years ago, our whole tagline was "Welcome World." So it was great to see even the Post pick this up. A lot of people after we won the bid, you may all know we were competing against a great city, Dallas. We've got great friends there. And by the way, they have 9 matches. And they asked us, how do we win the finals? There was a lot of rumors that Dallas was going to win. In fact, there was newspaper leaks, but they were leaks. And you know what we said? And it's kind of how we roll in this region. We don't take anything for granted. We don't assume that another organization knows all the things that make us great: infrastructure, experience, cultural experiences, diversity. We really lean into diversity. You may have heard the governor say you can get any 2 nations that will play in any match, group match, and that stadium will fill up. It's likely because they're already here. Now, we hope they come here and travel here, but the reality of it is the diversity of our region is what we are all about. FIFA wants to grow the game. How do you grow the game and not look at New York, New Jersey as the foundation of growing the game with that diversity that we have? So the whole hello world mantra is something that we're delighted that the press picked up on. And this was a real great moment for our region. I shared over and over again, this doesn't get done with everybody who works and lives and participates in this region in some capacity. Whether it be Jim and his team, and Claudia and her team, and Paul and his team at NJSCA, we all played a role. And it was great to be part of something that you could share in a room. I think we had about 550 of our closest friends at MetLife Stadium. Not knowing, by the way, we did not know until about a minute before everybody else did that we won the finals. So it was pure joy when they revealed it was us.
And Bruce, by the way, I may have jumped 16 inches. I think Governor Murphy jumped 24.
Yeah, he was. It was just great to be around, because when you can share good things with good people, it just makes that experience even better. And everybody in that room were, as I said, were part of what we had been doing over the last 5 years. Lauren and I have been working together 4+ years. but individually, we've been working on this over 5 years. So when you're experienced that, and when good things can happen to good people, and you're part of it, it's pretty special, pretty unique. This is how our individual match schedule looks for New York, New Jersey. We have 5 group stage matches, and of course, every time we talk about 1994 and Ireland and Italy, we all often hear about group stage matches can be every bit as compelling as a knockout round. And then we have a round of 32, we have a round of 16, and you'll notice we have 2 weeks between the 5th and the 19th. That's so the stadium can really adequately prepare the pitch, which is necessary. We're very, very excited about having these 8 matches, and I'm going to talk in a minute about, okay, what happens in between the 5th and the 19th. You should also know that Philadelphia has a game on the 4th. We have a lot of games between Philadelphia and New York, New Jersey that are back-to-back. We'll probably have an afternoon match, and we'll have an evening match, or it could be vice versa. And we talked about the Northeast Corridor on transportation. We're actually working very closely with Boston and Philadelphia because we want people to stay in our region. You could ostensibly go up to as many as 15 games over the course of the 39, 40 days. It's 21 games, 21 matches being played between Boston, New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. Let's keep them in the region. That's what we want to do. Let's keep them in the region. So how will you see and be aware that the World Cup is happening in our region? You probably will know. I mean, even if we did not do any of these things, you should have a clue. One of the things that really we had to do with FIFA, and listen, they were, say what you want about them, they were our partner in getting, they were leading us to how to say yes for the finals. We followed their lead. And they are good partners for us. They really are. We have our challenges. We've done business differently, but at the end of the day, FIFA's been a really good partner of ours. Along the way, we are really excited to partner with them towards 2026. But one of the things they asked us was, in this market, with so many things going on, how will the World Cup distinguish itself? If you were in New York in 2014 and you were in Times Square and you had Super Bowl Boulevard, you knew there was something going on. But if you went east or west, 1 or 2 blocks, it's New York City. There's a lot going on. If you go to New York City when the United Nations General Assembly is going on, yes, they petition off a lot on the east side, but if you're on the west side, it's unlikely you're going to know that the UN General Assembly is going on. That's good for normal business, but they didn't like that. They said, we want to make sure every inch is possible, if possible, of the region is aware that the World Cup is going on. Well, we're not going to be able to do every inch. But one of the things that we promised, and I promised the mayor, Mayor Adams, because he was actually in Doha, and he said, I want to make sure when people get off a train, a bus, a plane, that they're aware that something is big is happening. So you're going to see signage in train stations, at the airports. We've already walked through the airports, bus stations. We are going to try to put a tapestry on the region. Steve will talk a little bit about overlay. What that means is the branding. Where we can and cannot use particular branding is something that we're going through, as I said, with FIFA right now. But the idea is to have fan engagement. Right now, we're looking at 2 major ports of fan engagement. One is Liberty State Park, and in New York City, it's Corona and Queens. Pick those 2 places for a reason. One is a great large footprint. We don't have a lot of restrictions, and obviously, we feel that it lends itself to the visuals and visuals and access that we think the world wants to have, and certainly FIFA wants to have. So when you're in New Jersey, you've got a gorgeous space. We held our reveal a few years ago in Liberty State Park. It was spectacular with the Empire State Building. The Statue of Liberty right behind it. Spectacular. And then in Corona Park in Queens, the most diverse borough in New York City. We did not want to do something in just Midtown Manhattan. So a lot of that, when Laura and I started working together, and I started listening and hearing to some of the challenges from 2014 regarding spreading of the wealth of the Super Bowl, that's the same thing that happened in New York City. Manhattan really benefited. But what about Queens? What about the Bronx? What about Brooklyn? I've got that challenge in the 5 boroughs that I have to address as well. But our goal is to really, I won't use the term takeover, but we want to be in places where you would not normally see branding and have fan experiences beyond Liberty State Park and Corona, so that if you're not living in those areas and you don't know how to get to Liberty State Park, you don't want to go to Queens, New York City, if you live in a borough where you're very provincial, you don't like to go to the other boroughs, we'll try to take care of you. We talked about, the Fan Fest in a box. But we worked, in fact, when we were bidding on the finals, we worked with some of the most creative folks here in New Jersey and New York City about ideation, like, okay, if we don't do a full fan engagement, can we have fun in a little park? Can we go to a boulevard? Can we go to a community? Can we do things in places where you would not normally expect to see those types of activations? And we have to do that. We have to do that. We have to be in places that you don't normally expect. Low-hanging fruit is doing an event in Times Square. That's easy. Anybody can do that. But we're not going to do that. Well, maybe we'll have a viewing party for a couple of days, but the idea is to spread the wealth. We are doing the final viewing party, though, in Central Park, which is very cool. We're going to be in the Great Lawn, and we expect a lot of folks there, likely have a concert. It's one of the things we promised the FIFA, and we're excited to be able to deliver on that. More quantifying the impact of the World Cup. We look at an economic impact. We did not revise it since we got the finals, but $2 billion. That's a lot of money that's in this area. Those are net dollars. We always know this displacement. But people got to leave the area. They don't want it. In New York City, when there's a big event, people leave. They don't want to deal with it. So these are net numbers. This reflects what the contribution to the economy is based on people leaving the area and not going to the local coffee shop like they normally would. 14,000 plus jobs. That could be in hospitality. That could be in production. It could be all the people that FIFA will be bringing in for the finals. And they will be bringing in a lot of folks. And over 1 million plus visitors. Somebody may have said it, that for every ticketed fan, they typically bring 1+ people with them. And I know Jeff will talk a little bit about that. That's the opportunity. That's the opportunity to show people what we have. The stadium's going to do a great job. I'm not worried about MetLife. It'll be a spectacular experience. But they're only going to the match for, let's say, all in round trip with the game. Maybe it's 4 hours. But if you're from Europe, you're not coming here for 4 hours taking a flight home that night. What do you do when you're not here? That's where we have the challenge, but the opportunity to really captivate your imagination. I think I'm going to leave it over to Jeff now. Thank you all on that.
Thanks, Bruce. I'd like to go back to a photo that Bruce showed. I don't know if you noticed in the back, but that's Jim Kirkland. And not to get in the way of this love fest that everybody's been sharing about how wonderful Jim is, but a little truth to the matter is he pushed me out of the way when the photographer pulled up. So,
I heard about that.
yeah. So with that said, I want to start by saying that I apologize for overusing this word because I've heard it many times today, but opportunity. And what a huge opportunity this state has for tourism. This is a great opportunity for all of us to show the world what New Jersey is, what we have to offer, and what a great place it is to visit and to live, to work, and to play. And this goes beyond just the time that the World Cup is here. It goes beyond the Revolutionary War celebration that we're going to be basically overlaying, over World Cup. But this is going to last for years. When people come to visit, they're going to see what we have to offer. They're going to say, hey, I didn't have a chance to see it all, and they're going to want to come back. They're going to recognize that New Jersey is right at New York City's doorstep, the #1 gateway city in our country. So let's take advantage of the fact that we are right there. Let's take advantage of the fact that Philadelphia
is right on the border of southern New Jersey. So this is a great opportunity, and again, I don't want to overuse that. But speaking of opportunities, over the next couple of years, FIFA is going to have qualifying matches ongoing. This summer, we have Copa Games coming to MetLife. The Paris Olympics are going to be are going on. So this is a great opportunity for us to partner with these international soccer games and non-soccer games, frankly, to showcase New Jersey, to showcase New York City, to showcase what this region is all about. We're also going to be talking to the sports media. There's a lot of sports media that are in our region, that are in our key domestic feeder markets, that are going to be interested in everything we have to do. And we're also going to be talking to the sports media overseas. Ann Pilcher, who's on my team, just came back from a Brand USA trip. For those of you that don't know what Brand USA is, that's the US's destination marketing organization. And they sponsored a sales mission down to Brazil and Colombia. And Ann was just peppered with World Cup questions. And how do I get involved? How do I get there? Where do I stay? What tour operators are going to be involved? So we're going to be working on pulling those tour operators together to make sure that we're going to be talking to all of the fans that want to be here. 3 pillars that we have. One is our foundational advertising. I'm also going to talk about some of our international marketing, and then finally some of our PR efforts. But I want to thank Liliana for bringing up Little State La Wow. It's always great when somebody else pulls it into their presentation. And everything she said was 100% right. We're going to be making sure that guest experience is there. We're going to be making sure that people are going to have the time of their life when they're here. And you can see how we're going to play into that. For those of you that haven't seen the the Lotta Wow campaign, you see how we work the soccer ball. Little Lotta. But just to tell you where that came from, the one thing that Liliana left out was diversity. And where that came from was the conversations that we had in our feeder markets, with our focus groups, with people that we engage with. And that is, we always heard, wow, I didn't know that about New Jersey. And pick some of the things that you didn't know about New Jersey. Everybody knows the Jersey Shore. That's what we're famous for. But did you know about the great restaurants? Did you know about the award-winning wineries that we have? Are you aware about that we are the second fastest growing craft brewery state in the country? Did anyone guess what number 1 is?
Oregon.
Believe it or not, it's Kentucky. So I guess they're sick of bourbon. But those are the things that when we tell people, when we're out and about talking about what New Jersey has to offer, the response is typically, wow, I didn't know that. So this is a play off of that we want to make sure that people know about what we're doing. So we're going to be including in our advertising campaign more videos, the shorts, commercials. We're going to be really enhancing our website. We're going to have microsites. We're going to have a countdown widget. What was the number of days, Bruce? 809. So hopefully we'll have this up tomorrow, so it'll be 808, and we're going to go from there. We're going to have event modules. We're going to be having interactive maps. We're going to be having itineraries so that the people that are coming, as Bruce said, they're not coming just for the game and turn around and going back. We want to make sure that they have an itinerary and experience, and we make it easy for them to get around, to know where things are, and all of the great things that New Jersey has to offer. We're going to be working with our DMOs. I loved Bruce's example. What did you call it? Something in a box, the FIFA in a box. We're going to be doing something similar with our destination marketing organizations, because we want them to be the hub of the restaurants and the shopping and the other attractions that are going to be coming into, for the people that are coming into the area, and for whatever watch parties. Maybe we have a north, south, and central watch party. But we want our DMOs to be key, and we want them to be a part of this. So we're going to be working with them to have a DMO in the box effort, and that will be coming soon. I want to share with you a sample of our WOW campaign, the commercial. This may or may not have audio, but at the bottom you see how we've been incorporating the FIFA message, in all of our campaigns. And we've been doing this for about 2 years now, thanks to Bruce and Lauren's efforts with FIFA to get us to allow us to do this. So, Jim, can you run that? No, go back. Flip there, Bob. Okay. All right. Maybe not. So, has anybody seen the WOW campaign commercial? Okay, few of you have. Okay. So again, what we're going to be doing is making sure with every segment that we talk to that FIFA World Cup is going to be incorporated into it, because we're going to constantly remind people and count down and build the anticipation for what we're doing. International markets, I already talked about, how we're going to be leveraging the international sporting events that are going on. We talked about press kits that we're going to be doing for some of the international tour operators that are coming in, and we're going to be working with New York City and Company, the New York City's DMO, who is our partner in tourism, and talking about all of the different international markets that they're in, the markets that we are in, and we're going to make sure that all of these international markets that are going to come over to visit know where New York and New Jersey are. Public relations, the final pillar that I talked about, we're going to be working with activations. We're going to make sure that, there's going to be promotional events all around the World Cup. We're going to have a countdown press release that's going to be, moving, periodically over the next couple of years. We're going to have influencer relationships with some of the New Jersey soccer stars, such as Carly Lloyd, Tim Howard. We're going to make sure that they're part of our programming. We're going to, really make a big celebration out of National Soccer Day, both this year and next year. So, and then there's going to be a lot of surprises. One of the examples we talked about is how do we take the concept of what the Olympics does, of have the torch kind of go all around and then ends at the starting point. We're going to look to do something similar. We're going to be talking with our New York City friends about things like that as well. So a lot of cool things you're going to see over the next couple of years, and we're going to be working with all of you that are in the tourism space to make sure that you're well represented, that your hotels are a part of the offering. And it's going to be a learning experience, and we look forward to working with our friends at the host committee. And that's it for me.
Before we go into questions, we're gonna jump to Steve. Steve, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the stadium and the challenges and what we expect?
Thanks, Jim. First and foremost, for the Jets fans here, you are welcome. I know they only have one Super Bowl, but it was before the Giants. So, anyways, my name is Steve Sansonis, and I'm the Senior Director of Facility Operations and Events at MetLife Stadium. And I've been tasked with carrying out the operational needs from the stadium for the World Cup. Basically, before we get into what we're doing right now, a little history of how MetLife's been involved. In 2017, the committee for the United States, when they were bidding for it, the United States, Mexico, and Canada came to us and asked us if we would be interested in being a host stadium. So from there, we got a bid book that was about 500 pages long on everything you had to do to host the World Cup. So we went through that bid book, broke it down, came out, with all these different, analysis and prices and what we do and how can we do this. And it really was unbelievable compared to what we've seen before from a previous event that's coming into our building. In 2019, we were lucky enough to then start bidding as a host city. We signed a host city committee agreement with FIFA. And from there, we got the host city bid, I believe, in June of 22. Yes. So in June 22, we were officially selected. So from there, we can actually start planning and allocating resources. Since 2017, our head was always, we're going to host a final. So every bit of our planning went directed towards that. Part of the stipulations of hosting a final was what we're doing right now at the stadium is you had to have a pitch that was big enough for FIFA's requirements, which is 68 meters wide with a 5-meter runoff on each side, and then 110 meters in length. Currently, if you've been to a soccer match at MetLife, our pitch is only 64 meters wide. So I'd say about 2018, we engaged with our good friends at Skanska, who's actually in the back of the room right now. Hi, Skanska. And shout out to Skanska, by the way. And they built our stadium also as well, and asked, how do we do this? How do we do this with making our events work? How do we do this with, obviously getting to what FIFA wants? So we started planning 2020. The first email was actually 2017, but actually started planning 2020. And by 2022, we had an agreement with them on how to do it. We designed all of this last year and 23, and then we broke ground this January on the east side expansion. Because the expansion takes a little bit of time, we have to divide it up into phases. We do the east side now in 2024, and we're going to do the west side next spring in 2025. Not to get too technical, breaking down that expansion, really, we're breaking apart part of our seating bowl, which is precast seats. We are widening it on the east side right now by 10 rows in some sections, 4 rows in other sections. So we're moving all of them. And then Skanska has the job of building it back. So we obviously have to get seats that we can easily, take out to have a World Cup final. We'll be doing the same thing on the west side next spring as well. By then, we'll be able to have a technical match next year, and obviously the FIFA World Cup in 26 with the pitch size that they look for. So that is one of the big things that we're doing here at the stadium right now. The other big things is planning with FIFA on the overlay of the FIFA World Cup. An event like that, it gets built out pretty well. If you're familiar with the Super Bowl, not only do you use your stadium, but you use basically all of your property to host the event. So one of the big things right now with overlay, we're figuring out how the stadium perimeter is going to go. Typically, our stadium perimeter, if you've been there, you enter through the gates, you get your security screening, you do your ticket scan, and you're in. For the World Cup, it won't be like that. We are going to set up a perimeter that goes out to our, what we call our outer loop road, which is beyond the initial ring of parking lots of the stadium. We'll build a fence line right there. It will have checkpoints, access points to the stadium, and you'll get your security screening there. From there, you'll be in, would be like lot G, F, or E if you're familiar with the stadium, and that is now part of the stadium experience for FIFA. And our regular gates will just be wide open, so when you get to them, you're just walking in. So I don't know how many feet, I have to look at meters square is how they do it, but how far out it is, but it's quite a significant footprint. So right now, and then obviously our group is working with state police and all the local law authorities and FIFA to make sure that what we're doing is good from a security end.
Steve, by the way, there's only a few people in the room that can calculate meters.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard. I know it's close to yards, so I kind of stick that. In addition to stuff like that, we're building out a media compound, a broadcast center, an accreditation center. There's over 7 to 8 buildings that have to get built, obviously, for the FIFA World Cup. The footprint is very significant. FIFA has a commercial hospitality village and a brand activation area that they built on their footprint where they have all their sponsors being hosted in an area. That is another huge part of what we do with the building, and we have to work with FIFA on how they're going to build that. And then the brand activation for every one of FIFA's sponsors, they'll build out, like, let's say Coca-Cola Pavilion, they'll build out a Hyundai of all the different ones that they represent Visa. What was brought up a little earlier, which is a good point, is FIFA actually has a neutral stadium policy. It is New York, New Jersey Stadium. It's no longer MetLife Stadium for the FIFA World Cup. That's what it would be called on TV and throughout, obviously, all press releases and everything that happens for the World Cup. I don't think they're quite fond of it, but they've been told, obviously, well in advance that that's what it's going to be. That also, Bruce, you might be better answer that one.
I actually can. It's first, they just followed the agreement was always a New York, New Jersey, between New York and Jersey with the FIFA. We had nothing to do with it, so they just, if you look at everything, right now it's New York, New Jersey. they follow that format. We've heard, trust me,
We're over it, don't worry. We're
Yeah,
over it.
no, and just being consistent with the marketing that they've done.
When does that start?
That would not start till the exclusive period, which is, what, a month before the World
Yeah,
Cup?
I think it's around May 1.
It's only for the
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's not for good.
No.
Does it start now?
So we work with FIFA basically to cover up all branding at the stadium, and it's their responsibility for signage and branding of what they're hanging up. So it will be, right now we're inventorying and going over all our signage in the stadium, as well over 1,000 elements that we will have to cover up or work with FIFA to hide. But that's every stadium in America that's dealing with that too, so it's very unique. And then I think one part that's really unique to at least our market is everything will be done, constructed, built, and served by our local union labor. That was part of the contract, the agreement we made with FIFA. When we signed our amendment to the host city agreement, it was, you can't come here if that's not happening. So I'm actually, proud we get to work with all our local companies to build out this overlay, to do the stadium expansion. And then not just that, but it's our local unions of ticket takers, of security, of ushers, of all of that will be serving for the World Cup. So in no way is it like FIFA is planning with other people or a company that they feel is better. It's all going to be people who have been at MetLife and who are from this area and work at MetLife. So that is one thing that we're really proud of. And then that's really it. I didn't have a fancy PowerPoint, Bruce. Jeff, sorry about that.
Well, how will that affect the games for Copa?
The expansion? So the expansion will be completed in May of this year. We have some Morgan Wallen shows that my friends back there promised me we can have. So, yes, that is the goal to be done by the second week of May.
All right, let's open it up to some questions from the floor, to
How do we all get tickets?
They,
Things for changing members of board members, people in the area, communities. I'm a racetrack and I'm already getting inquiries on how we can create experiences and tie it into the experience of the stadium and our place. We're already getting those questions now.
I presented, Emily Tourism had their annual meeting on Tuesday. And when I finished it, I said, I'm sure you have two questions, but the most important question is, how do I get tickets? First of all, for the general public, I will answer your question regarding group tickets. The general public won't go on sale until next year, next summer. They do go on sale before the match schedule, match schedule, which is revealed in December of 2025. So your committee for the match schedule is revealed. And there are going to be two major ways that you can buy group tickets. You can buy a suite, of course, and then they will have they will always have ways that you can just buy tickets in groups, like they've done in Doha. I helped an organization buy 60 tickets from a group that was approved from FIFA, not hospitality, just tickets. I don't know who those approved groups are going to be quite yet, but they all do funnel through FIFA. Stadium does not have any control over those tickets. They don't sell them. They're not responsible for them. That will all come through FIFA. So we'll let you know, because we're going to find out, because that's one of the things that on the New York City side, those entities that want to buy or acquire tickets for to marry against the rooms that they have in the hotels.
Who else? Who else got a question? Sid?
Okay, how do we get, maybe this is a much longer conversation, but how do we plant seeds for some of these grassroots activations, the cultural integrations of public viewing spots throughout our
I'll start with the, again, on the official side, once we get the rules of engagement for how fan festivals can be incorporated into a city or community that we can share, we'll share that. It's probably in May, we're gonna get that information. As it relates to how beyond that we can get involved, and Bill said it, I do want to reiterate, it's really critical that if you're not involved in an official event and you use the FIFA marks or you call something the World Cup, you may get away with it, but you got to be very careful. You really need to get that. You really need to talk to the host committee or to Jim or to Paul and find out what you may or may not be able to do. Now, listen, there will be watch parties that are not official that are going to go rogue. It's going to happen. To a certain degree, I'm okay with that because it shows engagement. But as it relates to something official that comes from FIFA, we'll share that. We'll share once we have what that looks like, what assets you're going to get. We'll be able to share that. Now, there are a lot of levels below that for cultural organizations, for other hospitality aspects that want to be involved. We just need to know about them so that we can help and also steer you away from any of the issues of IP rights and things like that.
And from a tourism perspective, we're waiting for direction from FIFA through Bruce and Lauren to find out what our destination marketing organizations can do relative to IP and including, a tag on their marketing. But as far as what, the individual hospitality and tourism businesses in your areas, once we have this figured out from FIFA, we'll be letting everybody know, again, through your DMO or the county tourism agency, what you can do and how we can get everybody to work together and be a part of this and be included. Frank?
Does FIFA have a hotel sponsor?
Not yet, no, they do not. I do not think, no, they do not have one right now.
One last question.
Did you have any, like, remember in '94, there was a group of volunteers, I was one of the volunteers as translators and welcoming committee, meeting people at airports, manning phones as people that inquired. Do you plan on doing anything like that?
So we're going to take, that's a great question. We're going to take, it was one of the ones, I'm surprised it hasn't come up yet. I was going to ask before we close about volunteers and when they'll be seeking volunteers. And yes, we will assist the host committee with outreach locally for volunteers to do those things and help them backfill between their paid staff and the volunteers that are going to be necessary to do the functions on game day. Go ahead.
So I just had a quick question. The New Jersey Travel Tourism, that app, is it combined with FIFA already? Like, are you guys partnered where the app will pop up on the FIFA website or anything like that?
Not yet.
Because that would be great for hotels for accommodations locally. That's the only thing I was looking at.
We're also planning to build a landing page for New Jersey Travel Tourism section. Hopefully coming very, very soon. Stay tuned, and we'll be sure to share with Judy and her team as well so that it can pass to everyone. But that is where we're hoping to filter a lot of what's going to be happening with the official FIFA sanctioned events and other things for that fan experience and getting people to experience all the great things happening.
For those of you that haven't met, Alicia Quinn is our new Deputy Executive Director, joined us a few months ago. So she's been on top of it. Mike Stiles is also here, works very closely with us. One thing, just remind everybody, New Jersey is in a unique position because not only do we have the New York City, New Jersey games, but the Philadelphia games are going to have just as much of an impact from that end of the state. And it's, the impact is going to be tremendous, more than the normal group.
I think you'll agree this was an amazing afternoon, and I want to say thank you to all three panels, to all the speakers stuck around. Like I said earlier, we wanted to wet everybody's whistle today. We wanted to really, we took a deeper dive than we had originally anticipated. I want to give credit to Judy Ross, who leads our Judy is the passionate leader of our DMO and is the senior director of Chamber and CBB operations here at our organization. We We need to continue to collaborate with you. We need your engagement with us. We will make sure that we have that close connection and collaboration to New Jersey Office of Travel and Tourism, to the host committee, to the stadium, as we have in the past. And like I said before, we will be that conduit of information to you. For those of you that have been standing a long time, thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. You know, when we started this out, we thought we would be under 100 people. We could fit them nice and comfortable in our facility. And then the topic is just really, was really of great interest. So thank you for putting up with us today. I hope we did live stream this to 30 or 40 people that couldn't make it here, which was great. I want to thank our end of day sponsors of Bolero Snort, which is a great craft brewery. We have some great beer here. We have Stu Leonard's, it's offering some wine. And we have In Time, our caterer. So there's still going to be an opportunity for you to kind of end this Friday with a little bit light refreshments and some more networking, and one more great round of applause to all three of our panelists. Yeah, the panelists, please. Any panelists that remains, come to the front. We can take a picture.
Hi, I want to thank
Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, good luck. I'll keep my ears open for opportunities to serve president. I'm always down that way. Yeah, my father-in-law lives in Lake Como.
Oh, yeah?
So